welcome back to a new episode of the Heartpanorama podcast. I'm your host Michelle, and today's topic are my worst pet peeves. Before I start with today's topic, please let me remind you that any mentions of brands, products, or services in this podcast are only included for discussion purposes and are not paid or sponsored. So today I'd like to talk about pet peeves, the little things that annoy you in everyday life that are annoying, and I thought, why not have a little rant right now? I think some of my worst pet peeves are related to public transportation. Not that I hate public transportation per se, but there are sometimes a few things that disturb me. For example, when you sit in a bus or in a tram and there's plenty of other space in the vehicle and still people squeeze in beside you and you kind of feel like you're trapped. And I don't really like that situation. And also when people want to get on the bus before letting others get off the bus first, and it's a whole chaos. And whenever I am on any sort of public transportation, it doesn't have to be a bus, but it could also be a train, I often think of little things that disturb me where I think this could be part of my pet peeve list. But before this whole podcast is just about public transportation, I will move on to the next point, and that is when someone tells you what to do when you were already about to do that, and you feel like that comment was really unnecessary. Furthermore, what is it with people who answer an or question with just a yes? Because there were many moments when I asked someone via text or via email a question where there were two options, and I asked, is it option 1 or option 2? And they just say yes. And that makes me wonder if they actually read my email correctly. And yeah, you have to ask again, and that's kind of annoying. I think in general it's really irritating when you realize that people haven't read your texts or emails properly, because I've been in situations where people ask them questions that wouldn't have occurred had they read properly, and then I have to explain it again, and I have to figure out how polite or how passively aggressive I can be with that particular person. But it actually baffles me how people can ask the same question twice, for example, when the answer is all in the original email. Speaking of emails, I wrote down one little pet peeve from work, because sometimes colleagues send me an email asking me to do something, but within the time they sent me that email, I wonder why they haven't done it by themselves, because that would have been much faster. And yeah, sometimes you wonder why people send you a task where they could have done it within 2 seconds. One more thing from work is also that when people ask you to do a favor and saying no is not really an option, but you just say yes to be polite and because it's your job. But I wonder if they're actually aware of the question that they actually ask, because they ask, can you do me a favor? And I can't really say no, so it's not really a favor, but it's just my job. One last pet peeve that I'm listing today is that when I can't find a parking lot close to my apartment and I have to park my car very far away from the apartment, and when I come back to the apartment, then I see a free parking lot right in front of it, and that's really stressing me out sometimes, because then I wonder, should I go back and park the car here? But then again, if I get back here, maybe it's taken again. So this is kind of a dilemma situation. These are just a few things on my pet peeve list, but there are surely several situations where I think, no, not this again. But I can't really list them all, because it's all rather in the situation where I think that, and a few minutes later I just forget about them. And that actually shows that they're just little things that annoy me throughout the day, but are not really existential crises. And that's why, despite all the stuff I ranted about, I'd like to remind you that you can decide how you react to a situation. I don't want to end this episode on a bad thought, so all the little things that annoy you are just part of your life, and maybe help you appreciate all the little things that are good. I don't think it's worth it to get worked up about your little pet peeves, and you should just shake your head in the moment and laugh the little things off. So don't think you have a bad life just because of these little things that annoy you. That said, I'd like to thank you for listening to today's episode. Please give it a like if you enjoyed it, and feel free to leave a comment. I'd like to know, what are your pet peeves? Maybe you have the same ones, maybe you have different pet peeves, maybe you just laugh about the pet peeves that I mentioned for myself. If you'd like to stay up to date on further podcast episodes, please subscribe to my channel and also click on the notification bell to make sure you don't miss any episodes. For any further information, check out the links in the description below. Until next time, believe in yourself and do what you love. Take care. Bye.